Hello there, my dear friends. I'm sitting here in my kitchen this morning, looking at the beautiful broccoli crowns I just brought home from the farmer's market, and I have to share something with you that might surprise you as much as it surprised me. What if I told you that this vibrant green vegetable, along with three other superfoods we've been told to eat for decades, might actually be working against our health as we gracefully age past 60? Now, before you think I've lost my mind, let me assure you, this isn't some internet conspiracy theory. This is real medical advice that's been quietly circulating among geriatric specialists, and it's time we seniors knew about it. You see, our bodies at 70 aren't the same as they were at 40 or 50. What once nourished us beautifully might now be placing unexpected stress on our aging systems. The truth is, some of our most trusted healthy foods can become silent saboteurs, working against our bones, joints, kidneys, and even our thyroid function. I know this might feel overwhelming, goodness knows. It felt that way for me when I first learned about it. But here's the beautiful thing. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to taking care of ourselves. By the end of our time together today, you'll understand exactly which vegetables we need to be more mindful about, and most importantly, how to continue enjoying them safely. Because this isn't about giving up the foods we love, it's about loving our bodies enough to make informed choices. Let me start with broccoli, that crown jewel of healthy eating that's been on our dinner plates for generations. I remember my grandmother telling me to eat my little trees, and for most of my life, I believed wholeheartedly that more broccoli meant better health. But here's where things get interesting. Dr. Patricia Williams, a geriatric nutrition specialist at Johns Hopkins, recently opened my eyes to something called oxalates. Now, you might be thinking, what in the world are oxalates? Well, they're naturally occurring compounds found in many plant foods, including our beloved broccoli. While our younger bodies could handle these compounds with ease, our mature kidneys, bless their hard-working hearts, don't process them quite as efficiently as they once did. Oxalates can bind to minerals like calcium, iron, and magnesium right in your digestive tract. Dr. Williams explained to me during our conversation, imagine spending your retirement years diligently eating broccoli for calcium, only to discover that these same vegetables are actually preventing your body from absorbing that precious calcium. This really hit home when I met Margaret Thompson, a 73-year-old retired librarian from Portland. Margaret had been religiously eating large servings of raw broccoli in her daily salads, convinced she was doing everything right for her bone health. I was so proud of my healthy eating, Margaret shared with me, her eyes twinkling with that familiar mixture of wisdom and surprise that comes with age. But when my doctor told me my calcium levels were still low despite all my efforts, I was puzzled. What Margaret discovered changed her entire approach to eating. Those generous portions of raw broccoli, while packed with nutrients, were also loaded with compounds that were essentially locking up the very minerals she was trying to absorb. It wasn't that broccoli was bad, it was that the way she was eating it and the amount she was consuming wasn't serving her 73-year-old body the way it would have served her 43-year-old body. The fascinating thing is how common this situation is among our generation. So many of us have been following the same health advice for decades, not realizing that our changing bodies might need a more nuanced approach. We've been such good students, following all the rules about eating our vegetables, but nobody told us that the rules might need some gentle adjustments as we age. This isn't about fear, it's about refinement. It's about honoring both our desire to stay healthy and our body's changing needs as we move through this beautiful stage of life. Now, let's talk about spinach, that leafy green that made Popeye strong and has been our go-to for iron and vitality for generations. I still remember my mother serving us cream spinach every Sunday, telling us it would make us grow up big and strong. Well, it did help us grow up. But now that we are grown up, beautifully, gracefully grown up, we need to have a more sophisticated conversation about this emerald powerhouse. Let me introduce you to Robert Bob Martinez, a 68-year-old retired firefighter from Phoenix. Bob was one of those admirable folks who took charge of his health after retirement. He started growing his own organic spinach and was incredibly proud of his morning routine. A huge spinach smoothie packed with fresh leaves from his garden, followed by a spinach salad for lunch. I figured if it was good for Popeye, it was good for me. Bob chuckled when we spoke. But then something concerning happened. Bob started experiencing more joint pain, particularly in his hands and knees. At first, he attributed it to his years of physical work as a firefighter. However, when kidney stones showed up on a routine scan, his doctor asked some very specific questions about his diet. Dr. Williams helped me understand what was happening to Bob. Spinach is one of the highest oxalate-containing foods we eat, she explained. For someone like Bob, who was consuming large amounts daily, those oxalates weren't just passing through harmlessly. They were accumulating. Here's the thing that really opened my eyes. Those tiny oxalate crystals can actually settle in our joints, creating inflammation and pain that mimics arthritis. For those of us over 60, whose kidney function naturally declines with age, our bodies simply can't clear these compounds as efficiently as they once did. Bob's story has a hopeful twist though. Once he understood what was happening, he didn't have to give up spinach entirely. Instead, he learned to enjoy it in moderation and in ways that reduced the oxalate impact. I still have my spinach, Bob told me with a smile. But now I cook it first, and I don't make it the star of every meal. This resonates with me because it speaks to something we all understand at our age. Wisdom often means finding balance, not extremes. We've lived long enough to know that moderation and mindfulness usually serve us better than rigid rules or complete avoidance. The beautiful lesson here is that we can continue enjoying the foods we love while making small, informed adjustments that honor our changing bodies. Let's venture into the world of beets, those gorgeous ruby red vegetables that have captured the hearts of health enthusiasts everywhere. There's something almost magical about their deep, rich color, isn't there? I've always associated beets with earthiness, vitality, and wholesome goodness, but as I've learned, even the most beautiful things can have hidden complexities. Meet Dorothy Chen, a vibrant 71-year-old retired art teacher from San Francisco who discovered this firsthand. Dorothy had embraced the beet juice trend with enthusiasm after reading about its benefits for circulation and energy. I was drinking a large glass of fresh beet juice every morning. Dorothy shared, her artistic eyes still sparkling with curiosity. The color alone made me feel like I was drinking liquid vitality. But Dorothy's routine wellness check revealed something unexpected. Her blood sugar levels, which had been stable for years, were showing concerning spikes. When her doctor asked about dietary changes, the beet juice consumption became a focal point of their conversation. Dr. Williams helped me understand the dual concern with beets. While beets contain wonderful nutrients, she explained, they also contain natural sugars that can be quite concentrated, especially in juice form. For seniors who are managing prediabetes or are concerned about metabolic health, this can be significant, but that's not the only consideration. Just like spinach, beets, including the beautiful beet greens that many of us love to saute, are also high in oxalates. So Dorothy was facing what Dr. Williams calls a double consideration: the sugar content affecting her blood glucose and the oxalates potentially impacting her mineral absorption and kidney health. What I found particularly eye-opening was learning about how this affects so many of the health products marketed to our generation. Those vibrant superfood powders, detox juices, and energy drinks often feature beets prominently. The marketing speaks to our desire to stay vital and healthy, but it doesn't always account for the unique considerations we face as seniors. Dorothy's journey led her to a more mindful approach. She didn't eliminate beets from her life. That beautiful color still graces her dinner table regularly. Instead, she learned to enjoy them as part of a balanced meal rather than as a concentrated daily supplement. I roast them now, eat them with other foods, and I pay attention to how my body responds. Dorothy told me, it's become less about following trends and more about listening to my own wisdom. This speaks to something I think we all recognize: the importance of moving beyond one-size-fits-all health advice and toward personalized wellness that honors our individual bodies and their changing needs. Finally, let's talk about kale, the leafy green that has been crowned the queen of vegetables and has found its way into everything from smoothies to snack chips. I remember when kale first became popular, and suddenly it seemed like everyone was talking about this nutritional powerhouse that had been quietly growing in gardens for generations. This brings me to the story of Eleanor Ellie Richardson, a spirited 74-year-old retired nurse from Vermont. Ellie had always been ahead of the curve when it comes to health trends, and she embraced kale with the enthusiasm of someone who had spent decades caring for others' health. I was putting kale in my morning smoothie, making kale salads for lunch, and even snacking on those baked kale chips. Ellie laughed as she recounted her kale-centric phase. But gradually, Ellie began noticing some uncomfortable changes. She felt more tired than usual, experienced digestive discomfort, and even noticed her hair seemed to be thinning more than she expected. As a retired nurse, Ellie's instincts told her to pay attention to these signals. When Ellie brought her concerns to her doctor, an interesting picture emerged. Dr. Williams helped me understand what was likely happening. Kale, like broccoli, contains compounds called goitrogens, she explained. When consumed raw in large quantities regularly, these can interfere with thyroid function, particularly in older adults whose thyroid function may already be more delicate. But there was another piece to Ellie's puzzle. The high fiber content in raw kale, while beneficial in moderation, can be challenging for our mature digestive systems to process comfortably when consumed in large amounts. Our digestive systems at 74 aren't quite as robust as they were at 34. Dr. Williams noted gently. Sometimes what we think is healthy abundance is actually overwhelming for our bodies. Ellie's experience resonates with me because it highlights something we've all learned through the years. More isn't always better, even when it comes to good things. Her solution was beautifully simple and wise. I still enjoy kale, Ellie told me, but I cook it now. I eat reasonable portions and I rotate it with other greens. My body feels so much more comfortable. What strikes me about Ellie's approach is how it embodies the wisdom that comes with age, the understanding that health isn't about perfection or extremes, but about finding sustainable practices that support our well-being over time. This whole journey with kale taught me that even the most celebrated superfoods need to be approached with the same thoughtfulness we bring to other aspects of our lives at this stage. Now, before you look at your refrigerator with suspicion, let me share the most important thing Dr. Williams taught me. This isn't about elimination, it's about education and adaptation. The goal, she said, with the warm smile of someone who truly understands the concerns of our generation, is to continue enjoying these nutritious vegetables while making small adjustments that honor your changing body. Let me share Dr. Williams' practical approach that has transformed how I think about these foods. For broccoli and kale, which contain those goitrogens we discussed, the solution is surprisingly simple. Cook them. Heat breaks down many of these compounds. Dr. Williams explained, steaming, roasting, or sautéing can significantly reduce the goitrogen content while preserving most of the nutritional benefits. This means we can still enjoy our beloved broccoli, just perhaps not as raw florets in every salad. When it comes to spinach and beet greens, which are high in oxalates, Dr. Williams suggests a thoughtful approach. If you love spinach, try cooking it and discarding the cooking water, which contains many of the oxalates, she advised. And consider pairing oxalate-rich foods with calcium-rich foods in the same meal, the calcium combined with the oxalates in your digestive tract, reducing absorption. For beets themselves, portion awareness becomes key, especially if you're watching your blood sugar. Enjoy them roasted or steamed as part of a complete meal rather than as concentrated juice, Dr. Williams suggested. The fiber in the whole vegetable helps moderate the sugar impact. But perhaps the most valuable advice Dr. Williams gave me was about variety. Don't put all your nutritional eggs in one basket, she said with a gentle laugh. Rotate your vegetables. One day broccoli, another day carrots, then some bell peppers. This way, you get diverse nutrients without overloading on any particular compound. She also emphasized something that resonated deeply with me. Listen to your body. You've had decades of experience with your own health. If you notice fatigue, digestive discomfort, or any changes after eating certain foods regularly, that's valuable information. This approach feels so much more sustainable than the all or nothing mentality we sometimes encounter in health advice. It's about making informed choices rather than fearful ones. Dr. Williams also stressed the importance of working with healthcare providers who understand the unique needs of seniors. If you have kidney issues, thyroid concerns, or diabetes, these considerations become even more important, she noted. Your doctor can help you create a personalized approach. What I love about this guidance is how it empowers us to be active participants in our health journey. We're not passive recipients of generic advice. We're wise individuals who can make thoughtful decisions based on understanding our bodies and our changing needs. This isn't about perfect eating. It's about informed eating that serves our bodies well as we continue to live vibrant, healthy lives. As I wrap up our conversation today, I am filled with gratitude for the opportunity to share this journey of discovery with you. We've explored how 4 beloved vegetables, broccoli, spinach, beets, and kale, might need some thoughtful consideration in our senior years. Not because they're bad, but because our bodies have different needs now than they did decades ago. The most beautiful thing about this knowledge is how it empowers us to make choices from a place of wisdom rather than worry. We can continue to enjoy these nutritious foods while honoring our body's changing needs through simple adjustments. Cooking instead of always eating raw, moderating portions, and embracing variety in our diets. I think about my friends Margaret, Bob, Dorothy, and Ellie, and how each of them found their own path to continuing to enjoy these foods safely. Their stories remind me that aging gracefully often means adapting thoughtfully, not restricting fearfully. If this conversation has resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with friends and family who might benefit from this information. Sometimes the most caring thing we can do is help each other stay informed about our health choices. Remember, your body has carried you through decades of life with remarkable resilience. By listening to it, respecting its changing needs, and making informed choices, you're honoring that incredible journey while supporting many more healthy, vibrant years ahead. Thank you for spending this time with me. Here's to your continued health, wisdom, and joy in nourishing yourself well.